This one. There we go.
All right.
Yep.
Oops.
Okay.
Stay.
All right.
All right, folks. Good afternoon. This is the Select Board meeting of January 23rd, 2024. Member Jen Lewis and David Bauer are here, and Bauer is out again. And we will go right to our town clerk's report as our first item.
Okay. I just wanted to give a recap. The 30-day foreclosure notices were sent out last Wednesday. 18 letters did go out, and I just ran a report before the meeting, and hearing an echo.
I know it, sorry.
15 accounts still owe. So once they got the notice, we did get some activities. So the foreclosure date is Friday, February 16th.
Do you know if you've spoken to any of those 15, or has anybody communicated?
A few.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
2.
Okay.
I will tell you, there is one that I am concerned with because all the notices have been sent back,
Okay.
and it's actually an address in New York, and we are in contact with that town office,
Okay.
trying to get information.
Yeah.
We may buy a small package from White Pages. I had good luck with them in Baldwin to get information like phone numbers, siblings. I'm not sure if we have to go that route or not, but I'm still waiting to hear back from this town in New York. So, yep.
Crazy.
Yep. All right.
We have had some complaints the last couple weeks and questions, I guess, on mailboxes and plowing. Can we just clarify that for the public, what we do if there's a mailbox that gets damaged, I guess, how that's going to work?
Sure. Go ahead. I was just going to say that if mailboxes get damaged, please let the select board know.
Okay.
Okay, they can get in touch by selectboard@parsonsfield.org.
It's selectmen. at
Selectmen,
Parson. Yes.
okay.
Sorry about that.
Yep.
Okay.
The email addresses are on our website too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do want to know,
The,
so.
the bottom line, though, is, folks, that we apologize for your mailboxes getting hit. We do want to know about it, but the town cannot be responsible for that unless there's something criminal. So we do want to know about them so we can track them, but other than that, it's up to you to replace it.
And it is in the plow contractor's contract.
Yeah.
Right. To be respectful, though. So,
Yeah.
yep, two
Okay.
sides.
So if we get a complaint and they don't like our answer, have them contact you guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No,
Absolutely.
just want to clarify. Okay. Deb has been working very hard on the website. Thank you. And I think we're almost there,
Yeah,
aren't
right.
we?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to roll it out to the rest of the staff to kind of look at?
Yeah, I
or-
think so. I'm
Okay.
sure you'd love to have some
I
input
would-
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Approve your picture.
Oh, no.
Right. Okay, so
Yeah, no,
we'll
I think
share
that'd be
that.
great. We can give them the test site and then,
Yep.
ask about the agendas and minutes.
The agendas and minutes, that's
think
kind of
so.
where we kind of
Yeah.
stopped. There's a lot of data, as you know, on the website. Where's the cutoff? Like, do we carry everything over to the new one? Is there a cutoff and we print the other ones and keep hard copy, like almost like an archive? You know, that's kind of what we've been talking about
Well, we
lately,
already
so-
have hard copies.
Right. But there's a slew of data on the website. Like, do we carry that same amount over,
Right, no,
or
I
do we just
understand. I understand.
cut off?
I guess, how far back do they go? Do you know?
Yeah, that's what we were asking. like-
Quite a bit.
Yeah, if you click on agendas and minutes, it's,
Yeah.
But just something to think about, I guess, for
Yeah.
everything.
So they go back to 2015,
Yeah.
starting July 1. I guess if I was just gonna, without thinking any further, gonna say something, I'd say keep 3 years on there, or 2 years prior to our current one.
Yep. Okay.
Because we can always go back to the hard copies.
Can you keep 3 for now, due to the audit? Because I know the auditors pull the minutes and agendas
Actually, that's a good point.
from the website.
In that case, I would change my comment and say that we should
3 years.
keep 3 years.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
All right, we'll send that out. Other than that, taxes are looking good for 2023, almost collected 92%. And we actually did 3 lien discharges today, which is great.
Yeah,
Moving forward.
all right. Those 3 discharges were 21 taxes, so the old ones?
2, yep.
All right. Very good.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
yes.
Okay. Don't go anywhere, because we
Oh,
want
I'm
to
not,
talk...
just moving over. Bigger.
Okay. We want to talk about special town meeting date
Oh, good.
for the sale of the cruiser and possible
Yep, and-
grant.
Yep, possible match. Well,
yeah,
it's not
grant
actually a
match.
full match, but a
Right.
town contribution towards a grant,
Yeah.
so.
So, all right. We are here. I don't want to keep putting the cruiser off. So let's see. I mean, I might, oh, that's, where am I? Yeah, we're there. That's July. Let's not go to July.
Yeah, don't wait that long.
Okay, so I would suggest the 13th or the 20th of February. 1, 2, 3, the 20th gives 4 weeks. I guess I might suggest the 20th of February at 6 o'clock. Oh, what's the matter?
School vacation.
Is
Oh,
that
okay,
school
yeah,
vacation
no,
week?
that's not-
Yeah.
I apologize, I don't mean to be difficult, but
No, that's not a good week.
Do the 13th then.
So
Get it over
the
with.
13th would mean, we would need a warrant signed, which we don't have tonight. We could have next week, which means it would go in the, yeah, see, that's only 1 week in the shopping guide.
How many do we need? We need,
Well, because of what the town agreed to, we need at least twice in
Yeah.
the shopping guide. So how about the 27th of February?
works for me.
Works for me.
It works for me.
no, thank
Okay.
you.
That's New Hampshire's vacation week.
So,
I'll have
the
to deal with that.
27th of February at 6 PM here, and we will publish a warrant possibly next week. If not next week, then the following week.
Is it just the one warrant article for the
No,
cruiser?
we'll have this one for matching grant request.
Okay,
It's basically a $5,000 commitment from the town for us to get up to $200,000.
Right. It's the
Great.
Main Stream Crossing grant.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
to help with culvert
Yeah.
replacement.
Yay.
Yeah.
Moderator?
Yeah, we'll need a moderator.
Okay.
MMA actually offers a class in moderating.
I just saw that come out, yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
I wouldn't want to do it.
You want me to contact Mr., can't think of his name.
Mr. Blake?
Yeah, thank you.
I guess, yeah. Sure wish we had somebody local,
What
but
about Rob?
who?
Rob Hurd?
I haven't heard much about Rob lately, but he was not doing real well.
Okay.
But,
It's a possibility.
yeah,
Okay. Possibility.
Do you want to check with him?
Sure.
Then let me know.
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so what
Jake
did I
was
say,
saying,
the
"What's wrong with me?"
27th?
I wanted to.
227. Okay. We have reviewed the agenda, right, Jen?
Yep.
All right. Minutes from meeting 2 weeks ago, since we didn't have a meeting last week because of the weather. Signed, sealed, and delivered. We have approved the bills. Okay, we had 2 warrants. One from last week, even though we didn't have a meeting, and one from this week. We signed both of those, and then bills to be paid next week. All right. We're on the going horse.
Okay. approved it.
Let's see, no ads? I guess not, we'll have to get an ad together for the special town meeting though. But the warrant will probably be short enough that we can publish the whole thing in the shopping guide. If it's not cumbersome, then we have to do that. All right. Code enforcement officer, nothing tonight. York County Sheriff's report, we got the report from the York County Sheriff that included a copy of their newsletter. Now, where is,
The report was sent,
oh, I thought I saw the report tonight, but I guess
you
not.
did?
No, I'm dreaming. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Now,
Okay.
is that the last report we're gonna get?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
December.
okay, yep.
Yeah. All right. So the state police report, we got that, didn't we, already? Yeah.
Yes, but I just left the emergency number on
All
there
right,
for
right,
people.
okay.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah, so we do want to reiterate that we do not at this point have a local deputy with York County Sheriff. York County pulled Darren back because they're understaffed. They're buying the cruiser back, and we don't know if it's going to be re-implemented, unfortunately. So we'll just have to see how that goes. So we are being covered primarily by state police. You may have noticed more blue cars around than you had in the past. Obviously, any emergencies still go to 911, but the non-emergency number for state police is 207-624-7076, extension 9. That's what you want to use instead of the 324 number for the York County Sheriff non-emergency.
That
Do you want
got,
me to keep that on the agenda for a while?
Yeah, but take the other stuff off.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
that got renamed on the website. Now it just says state police. Is that appropriate? And just the state police contact number,
Yeah,
Okay.
as opposed to,
York County Sheriff, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's all we changed that over.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so it is on the website, and it did, snippet is on our Facebook page.
okay,
So just for a quick reference.
great. Okay, animal control officer, no report this week. Planning board has a workshop on February 7th. I believe they're working on the LD 2003 updates.
We talked about a special town meeting to approve the updates on some of the zoning ordinances that
Mhm.
SMPDC sent. So I might want to check with Aaron and see where they're at on that.
Okay, are those for the LD 2003?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, because as soon as those are approved by a town meeting, then we can submit for the grant, for the money.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
All right,
So,
No.
let me check with Aaron, I'll email him to see how that's going for them.
okay,
Okay,
okay.
I know they have more questions on what was sent to them, so,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, nothing scheduled for the appeals board. I know they've talked about having a new application, which I believe they've implemented.
Yes,
And then possibly a new fee schedule, which they're working on.
right.
The comprehensive committee next meeting is January 30th at 6 PM. All are welcome as always. No updates on the Secocas Road solar. Supposedly CMP was going to have something in play, a plan in place by the end of January, so I expect to hear from them in the next couple, to hear from Soltage in the next couple of weeks, but my guess is they're going to say they haven't heard anything from CMP.
Good guess.
Yeah. Okay, the Stanley Building litigation, we got an update that they've scheduled some sort of court date out in, yeah, I should have had it ready. here.
July 1st.
Pardon me?
Hearing has been scheduled for pretrial status on July 1st.
July 1st.
Yep.
So, and it's a pre-trial
Right.
status. I mean, this thing is dragging out. Fortunately, our only involvement now is for our attorney to keep an eye on things and inform us what's going on. So, minimal expense there. All right. Request to use the gym for kids' basketball.
Oh, look, that came from Josie Nielsen.
Yeah?
She's director of the Soccer Rec Council, and it came actually from a parent of a grade school kid, just checking into the possibility of using the gym
Yeah?
for after-school programs, whether, I'm not sure if they're talking evenings or Saturdays. I know it's been brought up before. We've had other people ask.
Yeah?
There's always been a question of, how the gym is maintained after they use it, who's going to open or close, and it's just something I think that we should throw out there again in terms of
Okay.
letting the rec council use it for the kids.
Okay. Yep. I think you hit on the issues, and the primary one is who's going to open and close. And can they be here by themselves once the building is open until they're done?
The kids or the?
Well, the group, no,
Oh, the
not the
group.
kids.
No,
Kids would
right.
not be here by
No,
themselves.
they will definitely have
Yeah.
people here.
Right.
As opposed to having like one of us in there?
Yes.
Would they need us?
They wouldn't.
No.
But insurance-wise, I mean, can we just open the building for someone to use?
I would assume that the rec council would have to have a liability proof also naming us.
Right.
And I'm sure they already do, since the rec council uses all the schools in town.
Right.
And I can check with Josie further.
Yeah.
I can ask also what they're thinking of in terms of time, like
Yeah.
program time, because, I mean, if they don't need us here, I'm around the corner pretty much, I can open and close.
Yeah.
I'd love to see kids using it and playing.
Yeah.
Especially if they were going to sweep up after and use their gym shoes.
Yeah.
Would you charge them, Jen, for the use of the room?
I'm not apt to say that I would want to charge the rec council. It's a possibility. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings.
Yeah.
I think if I was gonna say right now, I'd say no, we wouldn't charge them. I mean, they're a community group.
Right. They're doing a good thing for
Yeah.
getting kids out. I can ask. I mean, they use the gyms now, and I'm sure they don't pay the schools anything, since I don't
We're
honestly
checking.
know, but I could check.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
There's an issue too of finding gyms with basketball hoops.
I know.
Baldwin doesn't have basketball hoops
No,
in their
and
old
we
school
do.
gym.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, so that's why probably it's a nice gym.
It is nice. And the thing about the high school, middle school, and elementary school is that they have a janitor there all the time too,
Yeah.
which is really nice.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's an issue for me, is, how they lead it.
Right.
But
Right.
that could be part of how we,
The agreement.
yeah.
Yeah, part of the agreement. And they do say interest in a weeknight practice, so now, I don't know what night is for little kids, but
Right.
that's the note from you. Oh, no, that's the note from Elise to Josie.
Right.
So.
And then she threw it back out just to,
Okay.
yeah.
But in general, I don't have any problem with it. I think if we can get a little more information.
Okay.
We can check.
Yep. I think Josie's phone number might even be there, and I can call her and go from there, get a little more info, and then
Okay.
see what happens.
Super.
Okay.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay. We have a request from Calista Cross to meet with us about the possibility of renaming the bridge, or maybe naming the bridge. Right now, it's Bridge BR 2332. She's looking to try and name it Veterans Memorial Bridge. This is new to me, so I would like to think about it a little before I say yay or nay, or say I'm ready to meet with her. So if we could put that off until next week, and we'll talk about it then.
Okay, and then schedule a workshop with
Yeah.
her afterwards,
Yep.
okay. Would think that the town's name or a name should go
Well, I
in
like
front of
Beezer
it.
Falls Veterans Bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
it just seems odd not to have a name in front
that.
Yep, and she suggested Keyser Falls Veterans Bridge, Veterans Memorial Bridge. Put it out to the town, I'm sure we'd hear some interesting names.
I'm not sure what she means by saying, so select folks in towns would have two choices. Anyways, I need to read that a little more closely and see. Okay. So
No,
that
she's
one's-
meeting with Porter. I think she said Porter tonight. Selectboard.
No, okay.
Oh, would we have to have a mutual decision, like, between Porter and us, right, to name the bridge?
I don't
They
know if
could
we
name
can
it one thing and we name it another.
Put the sign on
They
our
could,
side.
right, and we can do it on both sides, but,
I would think that we would want to
right.
have some agreement there.
Porter Parsons Field Memorial. We already had one.
No.
Okay, Jen got in touch with MMA Legal about business licenses, and they sent a response back.
Yep, it would require an ordinance from the town, so it's something that we've discussed as a select board in terms of businesses being licensed. You know, we'd have to come up with a policy and an ordinance, so it's definitely warrants further discussion,
Mm-hmm.
I think, so.
Yep. I agree.
Yep. What's the incentive? How does it help businesses? How does it help us?
Right.
So.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, then we have the 2024 Boundary and Annexation Survey.
I think I sent that to you, David.
Yeah, you did. Nothing has changed. Everything's
so-
the same,
Okay.
as it has been for 200 years.
Okay, so you want me to reply? I'll reply?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
This is basically, sometimes you have to do boundary corrections because of surveys that were done 100 years ago were not correct, but we have not done anything of that sort. Okay. Snowplow complaint on Dearborn Road. Looks like maybe, they're making one pass of Dearborn Road and leaving snow in front of the driveway as far as they plow, and that doesn't seem appropriate, so we need to contact Mark, that's his, and have him go a little further.
Do you want to do that, Jen?
Sure. So we want him to go beyond the driveway rather than leaving piles of snow in front of this person's driveway.
Right, and he should make more than one pass.
Can he
No.
turn, I don't, I'm not super
I think he
familiar
goes
with
up
the
and
road.
backs down.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say. Does he
yeah.
now have room to turn around or?
Probably not, no.
Okay.
But he should go up and back down twice.
Check out.
I mean, if you look at the way the contract is written, it's supposed to include,
Coming and going, yep.
well, it's
Yeah.
supposed to include the right-of-way. At least the width of the obvious dirt road or the
Okay,
pavement.
okay.
I don't think it's paved. All right. So, road commissioner is working on the 2023 FEMA reports for the storms that we had at the end of '23, along with Debbie and Jen. And, FEMA being a government agency, they have their rules, and we're trying to abide, to keep a smile on our face, not always the easiest thing. But there's money involved for the town, so we
Yeah.
really need to do it. All right. Do you have anything, Jen?
I might just say that, that tomorrow is our community lunch. We do a monthly luncheon on Wednesdays. The weather isn't supposed to be great tonight, but maybe it'll just be some dry snow.
Yeah.
I'd have people who are listening and who are able to check the website for delays or closures, and we'll get the word out there if there's any issue. But as far as we are all concerned with the cafe, it'll be at 11:30 tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to be aware that there is some storms coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want to note again the time change?
yes, from 11 o'clock to 11:30 now, so we
Yeah.
start at 11:30.
Yeah.
Yep, that would be good.
All right.
I just got a message, excuse me, from Ricky Giebel. He just wanted to mention the dog licensing is due at the end of the month before the penalty.
Good point.
So,
Yep. And that's a $25 per dog penalty, folks, so you want to get your dogs licensed if they aren't. All right. Last thing then that I know about is what JP and Trevor are here for, which is their citizens petition for opting in on marijuana, recreational marijuana. Jen and I have talked about it, and what we're going to do is, we were hoping to have a policy in place, but we aren't quite there. So, excuse me, if you have the signatures that you collected with you, we will inform you that we will accept those, as long as we have them right now. Okay. We'll take those. So did you circulate the
Is this the only question that that the people are signing the petition about, as to whether or not they want to opt in?
It's a three-part question.
yeah,
If you read
it's
it out
multi-part
loud.
there.
Oh, so it's,
It's the
okay.
same thing.
Okay, I did read it, but I just wanted to ask if, is there more about the other parts? Like, is there?
So it's an opt-in,
Right,
it's a proposed ordinance, and then a fee schedule along with it, and how to enforce it. And let me step.
yeah, can you guys
Yeah.
come here so people can hear you?
yeah, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so I was telling David, as planning board chair, a couple of years ago, when we were tackling this issue, I worked with MMA to make sure that we were within guidelines of the upcoming opt-in policies and ordinances. So what we did was we reached out to a couple different towns to model what their proposed ordinances were at the time. We had them reviewed by MMA, and then the opt-in for marijuana medical side failed by 2 or 3 votes. So the ordinance and the fee schedule and stuff like that was dormant until Trevor approached me and asked me to help him get this done again, or proposed again. So went through the proposed ordinance, made sure that it was in compliance with current Maine guidance, and it's a question of an opt-in, the proposed ordinance with the different sections of towns and what it'll require for each section, like the rural, village residential, things like that. They will all require some planning board oversight, an application, a fee that will go to the town, and then it also outlines some different duties of how this can be overseen by code enforcement and police and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a three-part petition, basically.
So what you handed in September are the ordinances completely written out?
Yes.
That you would like to see adopted?
Correct.
Okay, not as they are now, but what you would like to see adopted?
There is none right now.
Right. Okay, because I read through them and I wasn't clear if this was a question, sign my petition in favor of. Are you in favor of? kind
Sure.
of thing, so-
We figured we could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a question of just an opt-in as a
Right.
petition. However, if they are if a petition is opted in, then it's going to take an additional 90 days or however long for the town to get behind creating the ordinance through the planning board or whatever else. So
Right.
cut the middleman out, put it in there, and if it's voted yes, then it's an ordinance as it stands, as long as it doesn't conflict with any of the other ordinances that are currently in place. And as far as I know, in the last 4 years, there haven't been much updates to our land use ordinances, so there shouldn't be anything conflicting in there with what's proposed. And under it's page 12, I think, of the land use ordinance, it lays out the process to get this petition in place, and it does include ordinances in there and everything else, so we can do this by petition.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think we had a, didn't we had a question of the legality of having more than, like, having a 3-part petition?
Right, that, David and I talked about that, and you looked at that when I was here last time, right? That,
Like, you have an opt-in, like, does the town want to opt in, and then there's more to the petitions themselves.
correct. So if you have the land use ordinance.
Right,
Yeah, we're not talking about the land use
Right.
ordinance, though.
Okay.
We're talking about, in general,
Of a petition?
the petition, can it have the opt-in along with these other?
So according to our town ordinance, and the way that it reads, it says, any proposal to amend this ordinance must be made to the planning board in writing stating specific changes requested. Amendments initiated by petition must be presented to town clerk and board of selectmen, who then should transmit them to the planning board within 10 working days, right? So that.
I understand that.
Right, so that should cover under the same procedure as an
I
opt-in.
have no problem with the zoning part of it.
Yeah.
It's the opt-in. The question is, can that be together with those? Anyways, here's what we're
Yeah.
gonna do. We're gonna accept your signatures.
Okay?
Danielle will verify those, assuming you have enough.
Mhm.
We are going to send at least one copy of this, and probably the zoning changes to MMA, and just have them go through. In particular, our question about whether the way the article is proposed is okay. And if everything comes back okay,
Mhm.
then we will accept it.
So,
there's an issue also of not having the entire petition submitted with that petition, like, when you had those people sign it, is that all they saw, was that paragraph?
no, there was copies of everything you got with the petition.
Okay,
Yeah, available for use.
okay, so those really should have been handed in with that too,
They were.
with that?
Yeah, so
They weren't.
that's the amendment, that's the additional 5 signatures.
Yeah.
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 And I didn't bring another copy
Okay.
of those in there
Fine.
because it's the ones that we.
Just for future reference, you need to do that, okay?
It should have been stapled with
Well,
it, so that we know people who signed it knew what they
Okay.
were signing for.
Yeah.
I would have, when I came in here last week and discussed it with you, you said if I bring the signatures, you guys were going to do your policy and you'd accept it, so I didn't.
Okay, I apologize, I was shortening things. I should have said if you bring the petition, which would include all of that,
Okay.
okay?
I've been in touch with MMA Legal like several times over the last week or so, just, finding out more about it, so, and that's just one of the things, yeah.
Question.
So-
There's 2 different submittals. There, you kept referring to September, the September ordinance or
But
whatever.
that one's done.
Yeah.
I
Right.
understand, but you kept saying, is it the emailed version? Is that the final version that you submitted the petition to me to validate signatures? Then you left and emailed me the ordinance. Is that what's gonna go with this? Or is it September stuff? There's 2 different submittals that you guys have been kind of playing with. So
So-
what's the final copy?
First of all, we haven't been playing with anything.
There's different versions. So
Okay.
what's the final version?
Okay, so from my understanding, the one that we submitted in September and that you guys would not accept, you said wouldn't qualify because we needed the circulator oath, right?
Correct.
You guys.
Correct.
Well, and they were
That-
stale, it was stale, is what
Right,
it was.
okay.
Yeah.
So from my understanding, from at that time, you guys said that our petition as a whole had to be rewritten and re-signed.
Right.
With the appropriate amount of signatures and the ordinance that we included. So when we came back a couple weeks ago with the signatures, and I asked you over here if you want me to print out the ordinances or email them, you said I could email them to you because it would be easier for you.
I am asking, what's the final version?
The one that you got at the time, a few weeks ago,
Emailed version.
email version.
That's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Okay.
Because that needs to go with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because it really should have been, legally, it's supposed to be submitted with your signatures.
Yeah.
Right, and at the time when I was in the office, I said I can go print it out right now, or I can go back and email it, and what we discussed
We're just
was,
talking
You-
2 versions. I'm
yeah.
just trying to find out
So
the
the-
final.
Okay.
You can't go and print it out, because we don't, you going back and printing that out doesn't say that everyone who signed your petition saw what you just printed
Right.
out.
I see, yeah,
It has to be on that, so that we know that the people who signed that were able to read that copy right there.
I understand.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's,
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as far as the two different versions, the only difference between the September one you're speaking of
Yep.
and the one that you got via email was on the first page, there's or first ordinance thing, do you have it here?
Yeah,
This table here?
yep,
The table, right here, didn't have the lines around it. All it had was just the letters underneath it. So we decided for you guys to have the lines, because he printed it out on his computer, on his printer, that the table didn't print out. So there's no different wording, it's just a separate table.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
All
We're
I'm
good,
asking-
as long as we
all
know
I'm
that.
asking
Right,
is
that's okay.
I just
when
wanna be very-
I validate these signatures,
Yep.
what goes with it, so you can give it to MMA as a packet, just so everything goes at once, one time,
Yeah,
and not
exactly.
go back to,
Yeah.
take this from September, take this from the email, just one complete.
So-
So we'll take the email JP sent with those signatures, if there's enough, and then, okay, then
Yep.
pass it
Yep.
off to you guys, that's right?
yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so
And
I'm gonna.
I apologize if I was explaining too much. I just want to clarify that there's not different versions going out. There was just a table.
Just a table, okay,
So,
yeah.
okay.
yeah.
now, my follow-on question for that, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
So the timeline that's specified in our ordinances, once you guys accept that, is the town clerk and board of selectmen shall then transmit them to the planning board within 10 working days of having received the petition and of finding whether the requirements of section 10.3 above have been or had not been met. You know, so the way that I read that, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same understanding for a timeline, is once you validate the signatures, that we have enough signatures together, there's 10 days from that time for you guys to transmit it to the planning board, who then has 30 days, it says, let's see, when,
Does it have to go to the planning board?
yeah, it says,
Remember we talked to Desiree?
within 30 days of receiving a properly initiated agreement, the planning board shall hold a public hearing on the proposal. Notice the hearing must be posted and advertised in the newspaper within circulation.
Okay.
and stuff like-
It's that properly initiated, or whatever the words were. That's what we need to find out from MMA.
Okay,
Okay, so once we get a determination from them, then we can start that 10-day clock.
okay. So, okay. I just want to be clear
Yeah.
of where we're at.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're saying that once you hear back from the MMA,
Yeah,
and
And they're very good about getting right back.
it's affirmative, yeah, I've worked with them before, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you guys have 10 days to transmit it to the planning board.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
Okay. All right. And then, so you're gonna, just to make sure that I'm tracking on everything, I'm sorry, it's been a long day, I've been pouring concrete and it's cold. So you're gonna transmit this to MMA, and your questions to MMA are if we can do an opt-in and an ordinance on the same,
On the same petition.
okay.
Yep.
And have you heard that that's not possible?
I recall
Yeah.
that the opt-in had very specific wording, and it was an article by itself. Now, that was probably 3 years ago that I looked at that.
Was that before we started this
I
process?
don't know,
Like,
JP.
yeah.
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just a volatile issue, and we want to make sure everything is covered.
Right, absolutely, and I want to make sure that we have all our i's and t's crossed.
Yep.
You know, i's
Yep.
dotted and t's crossed. You know, and that there's, yeah, I just want to make sure also, you know, like, we don't have a different expectation of timelines of what's supposed to happen and what actually
Yep.
occurs, you know. Obviously, flexible, 100%, you know, if things come up, then it's understandable. I just want to make sure that everything's understood and above board.
Yep. All right?
Okay. And so that's the main question to MMA is if they're both able to go
Right,
on
the
one
same,
petition.
same petition.
So if they come back and say that that's not possible, are you guys, the follow-on question would be, would you be able to use this petition for the opt-in and then force us to do a separate petition for the ordinance? Because to go through and get 80-something signatures again takes months
Yep.
of work around here. and that's not
Understood, that
easy.
will also be a question for MMA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My initial response to that would be no, you gotta have what's being voted on here, what the warrant article is here, not if there's extra stuff here. But that's a question for MMA.
What do you mean your initial response is? that-
My initial response is you'd have to do it over,
Okay,
but I don't know if that's
yeah.
my final response.
So, was that not a concern back in September when this came through? Or were you guys just
I
not
don't
thinking it
even
would go
remember.
through?
Well, I think just because the petition itself was stale and signatures were invalid and insufficient, that, okay, send it on to your next petition, your next signature gathering.
Right. Are there any other concerns you guys have? Because I want to make sure that we don't, if something comes back, we don't have to go through another three-month process to get it submitted
Right.
again,
I think it's how many questions or warrant articles can you have on one petition?
Okay.
There is some question as to how many are valid or how many are legal.
And that question came up after we submitted the first one, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I guess,
After the one you just handed in, actually. The one, not the one in September, the one that you just handed in, a while back, a couple weeks ago.
a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
yeah. And I understand that this is like a new process for all of us. I don't know when the last citizen-initiated petition was
Oh,
for
we had
Parsons
one
Field.
Couple.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. But apparently this petition is making us have to do new policies like the circulator oath and handing in stuff afterwards.
Circulator oath
Those-
is not new.
Those were there.
Yeah.
Not stated anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
At least for our town,
Yeah.
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 So it might be a statewide thing, but it wasn't stated in any Parsonsfield town ordinance or rules.
Okay.
And then, the new policy that you guys will be voting on will be the if you don't meet the requirements, handing in thing, and I appreciate you guys being open and accepting these before that policy.
Well, that
is
policy
enacted.
would have done the same thing.
Right,
Yeah.
I understand, but
Right.
I understand we're breaking new ground here in a sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure that, at some point,
That your efforts don't.
right, we don't keep having to
I
go through
totally
and reinvent
understand.
the wheel.
Yeah, totally understand.
'Cause that's
Yeah.
not reasonable.
Yeah, but I think, like Dave said, it will be a volatile issue when it comes up for the town, just like it was before,
Mhm.
the opt-in question. So we want to make sure that all our i's are dotted and t's are crossed too, in
Yeah.
terms of the town and what we have written to back us up. MMA gives us a lot of flexibility as to what the select board, any municipality select board wants to do with the petitions.
Mhm.
So we want to develop a policy on it so we know what we need to do going forward. So in a way, you've helped us out by bringing us something we haven't had to deal with. So.
And a fair process for everyone, so when the
Yeah.
next one comes in, this is the process, so
Right.
there's no questions back and forth,
Right.
so.
Good to be the guinea pig.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so you can see me, I'm gonna give this to the town clerk,
sure.
Danielle, and then need a certification. She's in the middle of tax stuff, so it may not be tomorrow.
Okay. And I have some other questions about the stuff you guys talked about, but I can't wait till the end of the meeting if you guys are taking
Well,
questions.
I think
I think we're there.
Yeah,
What you got?
yeah.
So the deputy is no longer with us. You said York County's pulling him back,
Right.
which I don't know if that was mid-contract or...
Yeah,
it
it
is.
was.
So that leaves a number of funds available for use for the town, does it not?
Well, they're committed, they could be recommitted.
Right. So that they were committed for the deputy
Yes,
thing,
yeah.
and now that's not there, they do need to be recommitted, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, if we don't use them, they just go back into the general.
General fund?
They don't need to be recommitted.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I've been harping on this issue for a couple of years, but like Parsons Field could definitely use a park of some sort or a boat ramp on one of our things. We've talked about that before. I would highly suggest and would love to be involved in, if it takes volunteer work, to do something for the kids that we have in our community in that aspect. And I understand those funds were for public safety, and if we're not going to put them towards public safety, I think they should be put towards public use. I don't know if you guys, is Harvey still trying to push the parks?
Conservation Commission?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. It's kind of on my agenda, on my radar also. I mean, we do, the town owns 5 acres down on the river.
Mm-hmm.
And there is money out there. There's a resilience partnership that we could join as a town and get money to put it in as a park? And do everything you said, some paths, some picnic benches, a ramp, basketball court, who knows, it depends, but I think it'd be great.
Okay.
Yep, it'd be great.
If you guys need it,
The Rec Council, the Conservation Commission, yeah, we've kind of tossed that idea around, so I think it's,
I think that the last meeting I was at, Harvey had brought it up, and you had said that there was some background work needed to see if that could even be a thing, or that the commission.
No, what I recall talking about was whether there was a commission or a
Right.
committee before,
Mhm.
and I did not find anything on it.
yeah, I did a lot of looking, and Danielle
Yeah.
helped me with a lot of those records
Yeah.
going way back, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a downtown revitalization committee from way back when, but it really had to do with Stanley Building, that kind of thing. So, yeah, no, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So-
know some other people who'd love to be involved too.
What are some actionable steps that I as a citizen or as a business owner in our town could take to help make that happen? Other than just say, hey, I hope we can do this.
Yeah,
Proposals.
yeah,
I propose we put a park in that stretch you're talking about.
okay. We have support.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
propose I look into some more money for the town to do it too. If, there are some ARPA funds that we haven't used. I don't know if it's an acceptable use of the ARPA funds, but I mean, it is community support and, so it's a lot of work.
yeah,
Yeah, but that would be good stuff.
I appreciate your work towards that, and if I can help out in any way,
Okay.
please let me know.
I will.
Sure.
Yeah, another question, you mentioned business licenses,
Yeah.
and I think out of the 20 businesses that we have here in Parsonsville, I'm just throwing a number out there, I know it's under 50, you got 2 business owners
Right here,
here in the
yeah.
room.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing any outreach to actual businesses right now to see, like,
How they feel about it or what.
what impact that might have?
I
like-
haven't yet.
Okay.
I'm getting my ducks in a row just by looking into it. And there's a lot to it. So, like I said, does it benefit the town? Does it benefit the business?
What's the driving force behind that? Is just a way to see if it makes things easier or better around here, or?
For knowing how many businesses are coming into town or are in town.
Mm.
There's tax issues that go along with it, but it also requires an ordinance to be developed about it. So all those things that you just talked about would have to be spelled out very specifically.
It's not looked at as a moneymaker for the town. I
Right.
mean, there would be a small fee involved, but
Right.
it would be small.
Yeah.
Only for the administrative purposes.
I would just hope that it benefits businesses coming to our town, because as we've discussed before,
Right.
during that comprehensive plan committee,
Right.
there's not any incentive for a business to
Right.
come to Parsonsfield.
I remember you saying
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I can't think of a single thing that
Yeah.
I get out of opening a business,
Yeah.
other than hopefully one day I make some money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's talk of increasing the businesses in town if the Stanley Building and the mill get developed. So, we're growing as a town, and we will grow, probably. So it's kind of good to keep an eye on the future and what may or may not be necessary for the town to just keep track of, too.
Right.
Maybe nothing more than,
Yeah.
and what the business is, who the owner is, and how to be contacted if need be,
Mhm.
that kind of a
A
thing.
directory?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Better Business
You got it.
Bureau-ish.
Something like that, maybe, but
Um,
small compared to some of the things I've read about business licensing in other towns. We don't have amusement parks, we don't have mini golf, we don't have anything that a lot of towns come up with. It's like, wow. So,
So along those lines, about 2 years ago, when I first got Archie's, one of the things that I was shocked to find out about was the fact that, and I'm paid up on taxes now, so I guess I can ask this. Trash service, the businesses aren't allowed to use any sort of trash service, and we have no access to dumps. We have to pay a private commercial service to do that. When I proposed looking into that, one of the things that Ed and you had said was when the trash contract comes up for renewal, you guys would consider including a limited amount of trash service for businesses. And I don't know when the next time it's up for renewal, but I just want to make sure that was still on the radar.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember the conversation. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think what the trash contract is. Do you know, Debbie, where we are on the trash contract?
So is that like when Mellon goes to renew to,
Well, when we put it back up for
oh, for bid, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 3-year contract with the possibility of 2 years.
Does that include the trash
extension.
that we find along the side of the road? Because that's been a big issue too.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, not in town, I'm talking about out in, way out there.
And that was like along the lines of, giving businesses something to help ease the burden of opening a business,
Yep.
Trash isn't cheap,
Yep.
but again, our entire town is built on the premise that the contractor, whoever that may be, Mellon, most likely, provides trash service around here, and I understand we have limited amount to the dump now, but that's only construction debris, is that right? To the tri-town?
Yep.
Which doesn't do anything for everyday use for anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have recycling picked up either?
No. So Mike said, it's, no pickup is authorized, but he would, do recycling, out there. But it's not written into a contract. I'd prefer to be protected under,
Yep.
under something
Yeah.
written for that to
Understood.
go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you had any issues over your place? You pay for private service, don't you? Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's an expense, and, I mean, if we had a dump, I'd just drive it every day, but we don't.
Yep.
And there was one other thing that I cannot remember what it was.
That's why I keep a notebook.
Yeah. I usually keep it all up here, it's just been a long day.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, going back to the petition, so we're just in the waiting stage until, who's gonna contact us from MMA, or from here, once we get a response from
Somebody
MMA?
from this office.
Yeah.
Ultimately, well, initially Danielle has to do the certification.
Right,
We get it, I forget what it's called,
Well, I'll
something.
email you two like I did before with the results.
Yeah.
And then pass it on to you.
Yeah.
So,
And then it goes to MMA, and then we go from there.
My guess is I'll probably contact MMA since I've had so much back and forth with them about it. That- Okay?
Yeah. Mhm.
And they remind me that I've already asked that, so.
okay.
I'll ask again.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys didn't ask the question already? Because you said this came up after we submitted this again?
Yeah, it was more, I think there was a lot of concern about the signatures and insufficiency, and then what does the town do with that? How do we handle that? Does the whole thing get kicked out? Do we allow you to add them? And then, in going through everything, it's like, wait a minute, there's a lot of questions to be answered on the petition, the opt-in and the amendments, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, so is that a legal thing? Can you have more than one question to be answered? What is the warrant article? What is the question that's being asked, and why are we signing this petition? So,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Seems like I read somewhere that there has to be very clear that there's just like one thing that they're signing, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find out.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
so essentially it's 2 ordinances to opt in, 2 ordinances and a fee schedule. Right?
Right, it's all
Right.
built into one. Because, ultimately, it's all one package. Like, once you opt in, you have to have those things in order to operate in town. None of those things are not related to the overall question. Like, if we were to just do the one question, do you need to opt in, and we get a yes, then where does that leave
Then
the
where do you go
town?
from there, right?
Then the
Right.
planning board has to either develop something, which requires another town meeting, another special vote, and if you guys input back and forth, if the town wants us, they can make it happen all at once.
Okay, I think we've
No,
hit that enough tonight.
okay.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys' time, thank you.
All right, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
And are we all set then?
There you are,
I think
yep.
that's it. All right, folks, thanks for coming. We will see you next week, same time, same place.
You up? Thanks. Oh,
I gotta get out of here.
He says it's time to go home. Here.
Yeah, he's ready.
If you know.